Hi everybody, it's Sean here. We're now going to take you through a step-by-step guide to putting together your Gantt chart using some project scheduling software. In this case, we're going to use ProjectLibre, which is a free piece of software that you can download from www.projectlibre.org. It's completely free, it's open source and free of virus and malware, and I highly recommend it. You can also use anything that I show you on this lesson for Microsoft Project or Primavera or pretty much all of the project management scheduling software. They share a lot in common. So let's start at the beginning by creating a new project. And here, just press New Project, and up comes a screen where I can just put in the details for our new house project, Project Fare. That's the title of the project, and I'll appoint myself as the project manager. The start date is the date there. We've got the 12th of March 2023, and we've got space there if we want to put any other notes in. And there we have just a blank Gantt chart. There's no information in it at all. Now, what we want to do is just move our cursor across to this bar here, the separator bar, and we just want to pull it across a little bit, because what we want to be able to see is the predecessor column. You can go further and see other columns like resource names, and you can, in fact, if you right click up here, you can insert, I don't know how many there are, but there's a lot of different columns there you can insert. So the software, in fact, any software can track pretty much any aspect at all of your project. So once you feel a bit more competent with the software, please feel free to experiment. But in this case, we just want to the predecessor, so we'll hide that column there. Now what we want to do here in the name column is put all of the activities that we want to do on the project. Now, I've already cut and paste one from another project, and I'm just going to paste that in. Otherwise, you'd have to sit here and watch me type very badly for the next 10 minutes. So hopefully, there we are. These are the tasks that I've identified as being part of my house project. But you'll see over here, there's no Gantt chart yet. We haven't defined durations, we haven't defined interdependencies as well. So this isn't a Gantt chart. Okay, so what we want to do first is separate them out into the phases that they are. So the first one at the top is My New House. Below that, we've got a phase called the design phase and some activities in the design phase, and we'll just indent those. And then under design phase, we'll indent the 3 activities there. Now you'll see what I've done here is I can roll up those 3 activities of develop concept plans, owner review and approval, and develop construction plans under design phase, and I can roll that up or expand it. And then if it's rolled up, I can also roll that up under the new house. So what we're doing is indenting, or essentially creating new levels in our work breakdown structure. So the next one here is the consenting phase, and we've got some activities all part of that, so we can indent those. And then the 3 activities which are actually part of the phase, we can indent those again. And now we've got the new house, we've got a design phase and a consenting phase with activities under those. We still don't have a Gantt chart because we haven't put in the duration or the relationships yet. The next one is the pricing phase, where we just take all of those that are part of the pricing phase, we indent them, and then we indent those that are under the actual pricing phase a little more. And now what we have is we have another phase. And now we've actually got 3 levels of the work breakdown structure. You'll see the top level is My New House. The next level, these 3 phases we've indicated, design phase, consenting phase, and pricing phase. And the last one, the building phase, will be there as well. And then the 3rd level of the work breakdown structure is the activities we've got under each of those. So let's do the last one now. So the building phase is the last phase here. And we'll simply indent those, and then everything under the building phase itself, we will indent as well. And now we've got 4 clear phases, and we can roll them up. So we can roll, and if you watch over here too on this side, as we roll them up, they all roll up, and then they can roll up to the whole new house. So there we are. We have defined the activities using the work breakdown structure that we're going to do on the project. But this isn't a Gantt chart yet. There's nothing over here at all which indicates the total duration of the project, or in fact the critical path or paths through it. So the next thing we want to do is to put the duration estimates for each of these 3rd level activities in. Now these are the only ones we put in. See where it's grayed out slightly? Don't put anything in there. The software will add all of that up automatically. And don't put anything in the start and finish columns at all. The software will do all of that automatically once we put the predecessors in. So here we're going to put in our duration estimates. Now you recall there's many different sorts of duration estimates that we could use. We could use parametric, analogous, lessons learned, rough order of magnitude, top down, bottom up. There's lots of different ways that we can get different estimates. So depending on what techniques you've used, you'll have a particular time estimate for each of these activities. So I'll go through now and just put some estimates in. So for developing concept plans, I'm going to estimate 10 days. Now here, the default for the software is the software assumes that a day is from Monday till Friday. So by saying 10 days, I'm indicating 10 working days. The software knows that weekends aren't included in that. I can go in and reprogram the software to tell it actually, there's 4 days in a week or 7 days a week as well. So at the moment, it thinks that 10 days means 10 working days. And you'll see over here on this side, it's actually grayed out the Saturday and the Sunday just to acknowledge that this is non-working time. Now, the owner review and approval, will give them 5 days to review the plans, and then we'll take another 20 days to do the actual construction plans. Now, we're beginning to see something form over here, but that's not a Gantt chart yet because we haven't indicated the relationships between them all. And we can start doing that over here in the predecessors column. So what we can say here is that develop concept plans, which is task number 3, and owner review and approval, which is task number 4, and develop construction plans, which is task number 5, are in fact interrelated in some way. In fact, what we can say over here is task number 5, which is develop construction plans, has to wait for owner review and approval, which is task number 4. So here in the predecessors column, we would write it is number 5. And now if you watch what happens over here with these two bars when we press enter, just try that again. So that's task number, that should be task number 4. There we have 4, and we can say that owner review and approval, which is task number 4, is dependent on task number 3. There we are. And you can see the software is automatically doing all of this. Now, obviously, we're assuming everything here is a finish to start relationship so that the successor activity can't start until the predecessor is finished. That's finished to start. And if you wanted to be formal with the programming, you could write 3FS to indicate it's a finish to start relationship. But the software automatically assumes by default that everything's a finish to start. So if you watch what happens when I press the enter key, the FS disappears. That would be different if it was a start to start relationship, in which case I'd just go 3SS. Now watch what happens to these arrows here this time. It changes to a start to start, just like that. Now it says that 4 is a start to start relationship with 3. But let's go back to a finish to start. So 3FS, don't need to put the FS in. There it is, done. Now we'll continue on putting our duration estimates in for the rest of the tasks. So plans submitted to council for consent, well that's just a day to get those in. Local council processing will give them 20 working days, which is the requirement. And then the plans approval, that's actually a milestone. So it's got 0 duration here. And what we can do here is to say that the plans submitted for consent, well, they have to wait for the construction plans to be finished, which is task number 5. So we'll put 5 there. The local council processing is after the plans have actually been submitted for consent, which is task number 7. And then finally, plan approval is once the council has actually processed them, which is task number 8. Now you can see the Gantt chart is beginning to form over here, and if we scroll across, you'll see we got some duration going. Now you'll see here a milestone is always represented by a black diamond. That's the international standard for an activity with no duration, which we call a milestone. So it's there, and at the moment that's out to the 30th of May. So let's come back over here and we'll continue putting in our duration estimates here, giving plans to the builder. Well, that takes a day. How long does it take the builder to get the price? Well, that will say that's 20 days. Remember, we've used a variety of estimating techniques. We actually may have asked the builder or used some lessons learned from previous projects. Price received from builder gives it to us in 1 day. And the owner acceptance of price, well, we give them 5 days to think about it. And here we say that we give the plans to the builder once they've been... this one will actually say we don't have to wait for approval, which is 9. We'll actually wait for develop construction plans, which is task number 5. So we'll say we'll give the plans to the builder once the construction plans have actually been done, which is task number 5. The builder's going to go and get the pricing, task number 12. You have to wait to give them the plans, so that's task number 11, like that. And the price received from the builder is after that one, and then the owner acceptance of price is after that one. So there we are. Now you begin to see the Gantt chart arriving. Now you see 2 colors here. ProjectLibre by default has the critical path analysis turned on. And as it's doing the calculations, it will color any items on the critical path as red. So you can begin to see some red items here. Anything that's not on the critical path will be blue. Now, other software may not do this by default and everything will appear blue, in which case you may need to turn on the critical path analysis to get that red. But it's doing it all for us at this point in time. So let's continue here with beginning construction, which is a milestone of 0 duration. It's the day we begin. Let's give some other duration estimates for excavating the site. We'll say 3 days. Construct foundations, 5 days. Construct the walls, 3 days. Erect the walls, or we're fairly optimistic about that, and they're probably being built off site. We'll give them another 3 days for that. Construct the roof, we'll give them 3 days for that. Put the roof on, 2 days for that. Exterior cladding, that's going to take 3 days. Paint the exterior cladding, we'll give that a bit more time because they want them to take a lot of care, obviously. Electrical works, that's a lot of works in total. Plumbing works, 5 days. Interior walls, 3 days. Paint the interior walls, 4 days. And the final inspection, well, that just takes a day. And then the house complete, which is a 0 milestone. So we've got our duration estimates in there. Now, just as a word of caution, obviously here I'm assuming that duration and time to complete equals the same. So what that means is I could say, for example, that it's 5 days work to construct the foundation, but it may in fact take 10 days to do it because of resource availability or any other constraints. But we're simply assuming that the duration is the actual time that we're going to take here. And you can put in another column if you want to that separates those 2 numbers out. So when can we begin construction? Well, we can begin the construction once the owner has accepted the price. So we will begin the construction when the owner has accepted the price and the plans have been approved. How about both of those things? So this time, plans approved is task number 9. We put a comma and we can indicate another one that we're also waiting on the owner acceptance of the price. There we are. I've put something wrong there. There's an error message coming up. So what did I get wrong there? Begin construction, 9 and 14. There we are. Sorry, I used a comma there rather than a semicolon. That's what the error was. So what I've said here is that we can't begin construction until 2 activities are finished. One is activity number 9, which is the approval of the plans. And the other one is activity number 14, which is the owner acceptance of the price. So I've just gone 9 and semicolon and 14. You saw me originally try to put a comma in there and it didn't work. So now that we've begun construction, we can begin site excavation, which can happen after we begin construction. So that's number 16. We can do the foundations once the site is excavated, so that's 17. We can construct the walls once the foundations have been done, which is task 18. We can erect the walls once we've constructed them, obviously being built off-site, I think in this instance. So that's task number 19. And the roof, once we've got the walls on, that's task number 20. Put the roof on, 21. Put the exterior cladding on. Now here we'll put the exterior cladding on once for example, the walls are on. Once we've erected the walls, we can start putting the exterior cladding on. So we'll actually say that that can go on after number 20, which is the erect walls. Paint the exterior cladding. Well, you can't do that until you've actually put the exterior cladding on. Now, electrical works here. When can we begin the electrical works? What we'd say is we can put the electrical works on. How about after the exterior cladding has actually been put on, but before it's actually been painted? So we can say that we can start the electrical works actually after task number 23. Plumbing works, we can probably start at the same time. after task number 23. Okay, so we're going to keep going on now with putting the interior walls on. And here we might want to say that they're dependent on both the electrical works and the plumbing works. So that's task number 25 and 26. But maybe we want to say we can actually start putting the interior walls on before those activities are actually finished. So what we use here is a lead. And the way that we program it is like this. So for example, if we want to indicate the lead on the electrical works, which is 10 days, but we want to say that the interior walls can start being put on day 8, 2 days before the end of that, we would write 25, which is the task for electrical works, would indicate finish to start, go -1, for example. And then we may want to say that it's also dependent on the plumbing work, which is 26, and we might say that's finished to start, and that might be a lead of 1 day too. So I've indicated it's dependent on tasks 25 and 26, but putting the interior walls on can actually start 1 day before the end of those predecessors. And there's how the software programs it. And then once we've got the interior walls on and we've completed the electrical works and the plumbing works, we begin to paint the interior walls. So we want to make this one subject to completing the electrical works, completing the plumbing works, which is number 26, and putting the actual interior walls on, which is number 27. There we are. So I've made it subject to 3 things, done like that. And then the final inspection of the house can actually happen at the end. Now, we could here say that it's just simply dependent on painting the interior walls, or we could make it subject to everything else happening. But the way that we've programmed this, it makes sense just to make it subject to just painting the interior walls. We'll make that number 28. But maybe we have to wait for everything to dry and be ready. So maybe it happens 1 week after the end of the interior walls are painted. So in this case, we'd go 25 FS, and we'd indicate a lag, this time with a plus, and a week is 5 working days. So we'd go 5, just like that. And then the house complete is after the inspection is done. So 1 day after the inspection is done, the house would be considered complete. So say that's 29 FS plus 1. So that gives us time just to do any final things that we need to do. And there we are. Now we've done our Gantt chart. We started with all of our activities and indenting them to show the different levels of the WBS. And the software will show you the WBS. So for example, if you go here under the view command, you can go view and you go show me the WBS. And it shows you the work breakdown structure. So there is the work breakdown structure. So obviously a lot of things there under the building phase. And there's 3 levels in the work breakdown structure, 1, 2, and 3. So the software will show you the work breakdown structure, and it will also show you the network diagram. So you just click here and go, show me the network diagram, and there is the network diagram calculated for you. But when you look at both the work breakdown structure and the network diagram, you can see why the Gantt chart view is so popular, as it combines the elements of both of those into an easily readable format back here under the Gantt chart. Now, there is a lot more that we can do with this, but right now, the Gantt chart software, or in this case, ProjectLibre, has told us that our project is starting on the 13th of March and is due to be completed on the 1st of August this year. Now, remember, we did nothing in these columns here, start and finish. The software does all of that. We inputted the work to be done here with the activities list, our own duration estimates, and indicated the relationships between them. Now, the software can go on to do a lot of other different things. It can record actual start and actual finish, actual duration. It can record percentage of work done, and you can then go on to allocate resources to each of these tasks and have that link in to cost accounts by allocating costs to each of the resources. So I encourage you to go out and play with it and see what it can do for you. And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Thanks a lot. Good luck.